Today on the show, we're taking a look at some small screen actors who went after that big screen glory. For every Jennifer Aniston, there's 10 Kirstie Allies. It's TV stars wanting to be movie stars on this edition of What's Your Favorite Movie? Hey there, hi there, ho there, how are you doing? Welcome to our little corner of the internet. My name is Ed South, and this is our show where we talk about movies, and hopefully you'll listen. Listen. Joining me in the studio today, our frequent co-host, Diana, Movie D in the house. How you doing, Diana?
I'm excellent, Ed. Yourself?
I am so excited to talk about TV stars who wanted to be movie stars. Aren't you?
So excited.
Yes, and I will explain the concept in a second. But also, as always, let's just say, hey, folks, you want to join us in the conversation? You can reach us on Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Diana, do you follow us on Facebook?
I do, in fact.
Thank you. You're the one. Fave Movie Podcast at yahoo.com is our email address if you would like to send us an email. And as always, folks, it really helps the show out if you subscribe to it. Whatever your app is, whether it be the iTunes, the SoundCloud, the Stitcher, the Scritcher, the Pod, whatever pod-catching app you use, please subscribe to the show. And if you're on the iTunes, rate and or review the show. It helps tremendously. We actually have a 5.0 rating on iTunes.
Do we?
Which means that this is a perfect podcast.
Awesome.
It also means that like 7 people have reviewed it, but it's all
That's
been
okay.
good.
I will take perfect.
Yeah, perfect is good. So rate the show, give us some stars, and review the show. Say some nice things about us. We'd appreciate it. And as always, just like a movie, the best publicity is word of mouth. So here's the topic. Here's the is it conceit? Is that the phrase I'm looking for? No. The concept. There's plenty of actors who are big movie stars who started off on television. I mean, pretty much probably everybody started on television, had some role on TV. I'm not talking about your Leo DiCaprios who was on Growing Pains and then later became a movie star. I'm talking about people who are TV stars and then said, hey, I'm going to make a movie because I'm a big TV star. And maybe that didn't work out so well for them. Sometimes it does. We got your Jennifer Anistons. Mm-hmm. She made Picture Perfect in 1997 in the middle of the Friends craze.
That wasn't a good movie.
I enjoyed that movie.
Did you? We saw that together.
Probably.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
That is with her and Jay Moore.
Right.
Jay Moore. He was...
Whatever happened to him?
Yes, I don't know.
He kind of dropped off the face of the earth, huh?
Yes. And maybe rightfully so.
He was a moment
He was a moment. He's in some good movies.
Yeah.
He's in Polly with the talking parakeet movie. And he's in Jane Austen's Mafia. Good movie. So you got your Jennifer Anistons. You got your Michael J. Fox.
Right.
He certainly blew up after he did Back to the Future. A lot of these times, they'll do them in their on their off season. Like they have a summer off. So instead of enjoying the summer off, I mean, let's face it. Michael Gross from Family Ties sitting at home playing with his model trains. Michael J. Fox is out making a movie. He made the smart choice. Bruce Willis, he used his stardom on Moonlighting to do a couple of movies, and then he broke big with Die Hard. Have you ever heard of that?
How many times have we talked about Die Hard on this show?
This is true.
So many times.
He actually shot Die Hard at night after he was done solving crimes with Sybil Shepherd during the day. And John Travolta, there's one. He was on Welcome Back, Kotter from 75 to 79 and hit it big with Saturday Night Fever and Grease. Do you like the Grease, Diana?
I could live without ever seeing that again.
I also have to mention, just because we're talking about John Travolta, probably my favorite John Travolta film, 1983's Two of a Kind. Are you familiar?
I don't know this one.
So first of all, I love the concept of let's not make a sequel to a movie like Grease, although they did make Grease 2, but let's just get the actors back together because it worked once. So it's him and Olivia Newton-John, and he is a bank robber and she is an actress, and he robs her at the bank. Meanwhile, God decides to end the world, and some angels say, hey, if we can make these two fall in love, will you save the world? Yes, I will do this for you. And then the comedy begins. Two of a kind. Check it out. It's a great motion picture. But we're not here to talk about Olivia Newton-John movies, although...
You love Olivia Newton-John.
I love Olivia Newton-John. I've seen her in concert. I'm going to be honest with you. I've loved Olivia Newton-John all my life. When I was sitting there and she sang Xanadu, that was pretty magical, because I'd grown up listening to that song and watching that movie, and to witness her sing it live right in front of me was truly amazing. Xanadu, check it out. It's about some paintings that come to life in roller skate.
Obviously.
Have you ever seen that?
I never have.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing with your life?
I've wasted my
Go
life.
to a place where Xanadu is being screened and watch it and enjoy it. You will get to see Gene Kelly roller skating to heavy metal music. I mean, what else do you need? So all right, so those are some successful people who've had successful careers. Can you think of any others off the top of your head? You hate when I ask you that.
I really do.
Anyone?
I mean, Tom Hanks.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, though. Tom Hanks did not build his movie career off of bosom buddies. I think Splash made him a movie star, right?
Wait. You're saying...
So here's my concept, is somebody who is actively a TV star, and then they, like, make a movie... Like, there's a conscious decision, I'm going to go after a movie career while I have my TV career.
Okay.
Like Tim Allen did. Like, Tim Allen had his show, and then he did Santa Claus, and he's had a fairly successful movie career. But we want to look at ones that...
So, like George Clooney... Big
yes.
TV star.
Yes.
Also big movie star now.
Right. He left right. ER to do movies. Like that. That's what we're looking for here. Of course, George Clooney now, for some reason, considered the greatest actor of our generation.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's fine, but whatever.
And honestly, he's not working that much. So...
He doesn't need to. He's rich.
Yeah.
Diana, what's my favorite George Clooney movie? It's before he was famous. Return of the Killer Tomatoes. So good. Remember that movie he did where him and Michelle Pfeiffer ran around town for like 2 hours? I missed that movie. I haven't seen that in a while.
Whatever. One
fine day. All right, so here's some actors who we know from television, who you might not even know made a stab at movie careers. And we're going to start off with my favorite example, John Larroquette. Loves me some John Larroquette. He, of course, appeared on the television show
Night Court. I loved that show. I've seen pretty much every episode of Night Court.
There are over 200 episodes of Night Court, 1984 to 1992.
Except for the last season, which was terrible, so I haven't seen every episode of that.
He played district attorney, state's attorney, an attorney, Dan Fielding. He played Dan Fielding on Night Court. Now, he had done some movies before Night Court. All these people have done other movies. I'm talking about when he was sitting there counting that Night Court money, talking to Harry Anderson on the phone and Bull, and he said, hey, I'm going to make a movie. So Night Court comes on in 84. He does Blind Date in 1987. Loves me some Blind Date. That is a Blake Edwards film with also the first film of Bruce Willis. Not a big hit film. And also in that is not Rosanna Arquette, Kim Basinger, also hanging onto a cliff with Jay Moore.
The two of them together dangling over a cliff.
Maybe they're making a movie together. On the cliff. So, yeah, so he has a supporting part in Blind Date, but you can tell, he's ready to make that movie jump. So then we go to 89, and he is in a movie that is beyond atrocious called Second Sight, where he is a detective, and he has to hire Bronson Pinchot, also making his jump to the TV, to the big screen. Bronson Pinchot of Perfect Strangers fame. He is a wacky psychic who has some weird, probably offensive accent.
Has Bronson Pinchot ever played anything that wasn't a wacky blank
accent?
Well, whatever. I mean, just every character he's ever played he's a
wacky fella, Diana. Let's be honest.
Right.
That Bronson Pinchot. First of all, let me just say also, Perfect Strangers, and this is going to cause some controversy, but maybe we'll get some email out of it. I hate Perfect Strangers. I do not like that show at all.
I'm with you. I never watched it.
Never. That is on my list with Wings and Family Matters and Perfect Stranger. No, thank you.
Yeah. It was.
No, thank
I
you.
didn't care for that show. I will say, I know we talked about this briefly. I just want to throw this in. The recent HBO series, The Leftovers.
Yes.
The little tribute that they did to Perfect Strangers was awesome. It was awesome. I'm just throwing that out there.
Leftovers, Perfect Strangers tribute.
So Mark Lynn-Baker appeared in The Leftovers as himself, and it was amazing.
He's awesome. I love him. I've seen him in a bunch of things. He also, I'm going off my notes here, he made a movie at some point, I believe I want to say it was called Me and Him. This is a super obscure film, and it stars Griffin Dunne, also hanging onto the cliff. Griffin Dunne, and he wakes up remember Look Who's Talking, where the baby was talking? Talking thing movies were all the rage. So somebody said, what if Griffin Dunne heard a voice and it was coming from his pants? And Mark Lynn-Baker is the voice of said phallic instrument. That's a great movie. So anyway, Second Sight is a god-awful train wreck of a movie. Also stars Bess Armstrong, dear sweet Bess Armstrong, who I think fell off the cliff a long time ago. And my boy, my favorite actor, who I need to do a whole episode about, Stuart Pankin is in it. So a movie that wastes the talents of Jaws 3's Bess Armstrong and Stuart Pankin and John Larroquette is sad.
Yeah.
And when I saw Second Sight in the theater, they showed it out of sequence. This is back in the days when it didn't affect the movie at all because it was already horrible when they flip-flopped reel 4 and 3. So I don't know why I'm telling you this, but that's how bad the movie was. Nobody even took the time to put it in order. And I'm pretty sure I was there opening day because I was so excited to see.
I remember. And I remember thinking, like, I wanted to see it, too.
Dan Fielding, Balky, and Stuart Pankin and the scientist from Jaws 3 all in a movie together. Yeah. This is magic. It is not.
It is not.
And I don't. Good luck finding that movie anywhere. And then John Larroquette also did, and I also saw this in the theater, Madhouse. Madhouse. Get ready for this idea. Him and his wife, I believe Kirstie Alley. Maybe it was Kirstie Alley.
I don't know.
Buy a house. And then it's like falls apart while they're, oh my gosh, while they're moving in. And all the craziness happens. You also have in this cast, also trying to get that big screen glory, Alison LaPlaca. Do you remember the Alison LaPlaca?
No.
From Duet?
Oh, God. Duet.
Why do I know her name? And I'm not even reading this off of notes. And Dennis Miller making his big screen debut, trying to get a little bit of that Hollywood pie. So John Larroquette has those couple of movies. He's in JFK also, the Oliver Stone film, which I, of course, have never seen. I was like, you know what? I should watch that when I was doing this research. I was like, I would find that, like, that came out in high school. I had no interest whatsoever. I was like, yeah, I'd like to watch that. Oh, over 3 hours?
No, thanks.
I'm good, JFK. Finally, in 94, John Larroquette was the bad guy in the Richie Rich movie, starring Home Alone Kid. And then he said, you know what? I think I'm good with movies. And he's popped up maybe in some supporting roles. But John Larroquette, in film in 87, out in 94, thanks to Macaulay Culkin and Richie Rich. That was a time, huh? How about, let's go back a ways, because I wanted to research some I didn't know about. How about Henry Winkler? You might know him as the Fonz. Right? From Happy Days? Happy Days was on from 1974 to 1984. This country was in love with some Happy Days.
That's true.
So 74 to 84. In 77, he made a movie, and his face and name are right on the poster, front and center. So people were like ready to go see a Fonz movie, and they went and saw Heroes with Sally Field and Harrison Ford. This film is also hanging off of a cliff with Kim Basinger. It's hanging by her foot. I have never heard of this. Like that's a movie that just fell off the face of the earth. Sally Field and Harrison Ford are in it. It's about a Vietnam vet who breaks out of a VA hospital and goes on a road trip to find his old Army, Navy.
And this was a theatrical release.
Theatrical release, yes. We're only talking about the big screen here.
My goodness.
77. Then in 78, the next year, he did The One and Only, starring, and I'm going to see if I can stump you here. The Fonz is the lead. The female lead is Kim Dare? She played Jenny Meyer in Better Off Dead.
Oh, Darby.
Darby. All right.
Darby, yeah.
That's why you didn't know who it was.
Right.
Oh, yeah, now I can see that that's a B and not the P from the line above it. Kim Darby.
Kim Darby, yes.
Played Jenny Meyer in, and who's she in Better Off Dead? That's the girl that he broke up with. Who's Jenny Meyer in Better Off Dead?
The mother.
The mother. Oh, that makes more sense. Okay. And she says, "What would you like for dinner? We have French fries." Do the line. Don't leave me hanging.
So, in honor of our special guest, we have French fries and French dressing. And to drink, Peru.
Yay. Better Off Dead. We've talked about it, but we're talking about The One and Only, 1978. And this movie is about a gentleman who invents show wrestling. Thank you, Fonz, for giving us that. Directed by Carl Reiner. Again, fallen off the face of the earth. In 82, while Happy Days was still in the air, he did Night Shift, which I remember that being a big hit. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And then he never made another movie again. He's been in movies here and there, but never...
I mean, he certainly has continued to work.
Sure, he's in
never stopped working.
Yeah,
but...
he's in a lot of the Adam Sandler films. I guess he's good friends with Adam Sandler's gang. But that was the last Henry Winkler film, was Night Shift with Michael Keaton and Shelley Long. Shelley Long, we're going to get to you in a minute.
But no, I mean, it is curious that, I mean, the Fonz was so popular, and yet he just couldn't carry a movie.
He was the Urkel of his day.
I guess so.
The Fonz. My grandparents had a Fonz pinball machine in their basement, and it said sit on it.
Of course it did.
And it was fun. Now let's go over to an ensemble show like Cheers. Cheers was a show from 1982.
Was that a show?
It was.
Huh.
It was. 1982.
Have people heard of that?
I think so. I think people have cheered about it. Do you see what I did there? 82 to 93 Cheers was on.
It feels like much, much longer.
That's a long time. Now, of course, that show gave us one bona fide movie star, Mr. Woody Harrelson, which, if you were to throw darts at the cast early on of who would be a movie star, you certainly wouldn't have picked him. But he came in like mid-show, replaced Coach, R.I.P.
Yep.
And, he made a lot of movies. But let's take a look at some of the other actors who didn't have quite the big movie career. And Ted Danson, I'm certainly not taking away anything from Ted Danson. He is a bona fide celebrity and television star.
Right.
And he had done a couple of films before Cheers, but he did Cheers. And a couple of years in, he did Little Treasure with Margot Kidder and Burt Lancaster. Never heard of it.
Nope.
It's an R-rated treasure movie. They go looking for buried treasure. Doesn't seem like something you do in an R-rated movie. And apparently no one else did, because no one's ever heard of it. Then he did Just Between Friends with Mary Tyler Moore. I remember that being a thing. Never seen it, but there it is.
There it is.
And then a movie that I have seen many, many times, Ted Danson and Howie Mandel in A Fine Mess. That's a movie that happened once. So he's just kind of piddling around, and then he does Three Men and a Baby, which was a huge, huge, huge hit, which also led to Three Men and a Little Lady. Spoiler, the little lady was the baby in the first movie. Okay?
Yeah.
And then he does Made in America with Whoopi Goldberg. Wow. And Getting Even with Dad with Macaulay Culkin, who apparently is a career killer, and that's it. No more big screen movies. And again, he's popped up in a few movies. He was in Saving Private Ryan, actually. And he was in Big Miracle, the whale movie. That was good. But not so much Ted Danson. But he's a big TV star. So it's interesting how people can be a big TV star, not so much a big movie star. A TV star we invite into our hearts and our homes every week. Right? There's a certain comfortableness with them. And a movie, you want someone a little bigger than life. So is Ted Danson bigger than life? Let's ponder that for a minute. Right? He's a likable fella. But he pops up every now and then. He's been on a lot of hit shows.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's done a lot of work. But
he was on CSI Somewhere, I think. And
Who wasn't?
Who wasn't? That's true. You know who wasn't? Shelley Long. Let's talk about Shelley Long, because she committed the crime that puts you on my bad side. Don't leave your show for a movie career. George Clooney was lucky.
Yes,
and you know what? George Clooney earned it too, because he was in everything before. He was in so many things before ER. He was actually in a show called ER before he was in ER.
Right.
And that's for reals, people. You can look that up.
It was E/R.
E/R with the Band-Aid as the slash. Elliot Gould was in it. Love that show. Wednesday nights at 9. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Wednesday nights at 8:30. It was on after Charles in Charge. I apologize. So Shelley Long does Cheers, and she again did some movies beforehand, including Night Shift. And so now she's all high and mighty with herself. And it's also hard to not think she's in love with herself, because her character on Cheers was in love with herself. So how much of that? But you just think like, oh, Diane, you're so cocky. You're going to leave Cheers to go do movies? Was that a good idea?
Yep, she pulled the David Caruso.
Oh, come on. Let David Caruso, you were nothing before whatever show you were on. Was that CSI Miami?
It was
the first CSI spinoff.
Or no, it was NYPD Blue.
No, he went to that, I think. Was it NY? I don't know.
I think so.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
And he did like 12 episodes, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm out of here." I don't have a David Caruso.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
And he's never made a good movie.
He did Jade, I believe
He's never made a good movie.
Right. He did like one movie, and then that's it. And then he was on CSI Miami for like 98 years.
But so Shelley Long pulled the David Caruso.
Before David Caruso.
Before she was the original David
Caruso. You know, back in 86, people were like, "You pulled a David Caruso." I was like, "What are you talking about?" So Shelley Long leaves the comfort of Cheers and does... Well, no, I'm sorry. Before she leaves Cheers, she does The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, which is a smart move. If you're a TV actor, do a movie in your time off. Tom Hanks was on his way up then still. Not because of Bosom Buddies. He was on that splash kick still. Money Pit, great movie. Everyone loves The Money Pit.
Saw that in the theater when it came out.
Oh, look at you. That was one of my first movies taped off of HBO, so I've seen it 9 million times. Great movie. She did Outrageous Fortune with Bette Midler, who was... Why? Was she was a huge thing at the time. Thanks to Disney. She was crammed down our throats. So then... I think Outrageous Fortune was a huge hit. I think they made an Outrageous Fortune on it. See what I did there? And she leaves Cheers. She pulls the David Caruso lever, leaves Cheers, and does a movie we've mentioned on this show before, Hello Again, from 87, where she swallows the giant South Korean chicken ball. A chicken ball that ended it all. So she dies and like comes back, and then wacky things happen with Corbin Burnson, I think, or something. Whoever else was in that.
Is Corbin Burnson hanging off that cliff too?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he owns the cliff.
It's Corbin Burnson's cliff. Okay.
Yes.
So Jay Moore and Kim Basinger are hanging off of the Corbin Burnson cliff.
Let me tell you a joke. Kim Basinger and Corbin Burnson are hanging off of a cliff, and Jay Moore walks up and whatever. I recently obtained a copy of Hello Again on video cassette from a flea market. I picked it up and looked at it. I asked how much was it. He said $1. I shrugged and put it down, and he said, "Please just take it." I'm not even kidding. So I own a copy of Hello Again, which I haven't watched yet, but I will, and I'll report. I don't know why the trailer for that movie sticks in my head so bad. A giant South Korean chicken ball. A chicken ball that ended it all. And then she did, after that, so I don't think Hello Again was a big hit. After that, she did a fine film that is a bona fide What's Your Favorite Movie classic that we discussed, I believe, in episode 4 or 5, not you and I. Troop Beverly Hills, ladies and gentlemen, where Shelley Long sells those Sunshine Girl cookies. Oh, what a film that is. Let's just take a moment and pause. And I put this on our Facebook page. Robin Leach just passed away, who does a cameo in Troop Beverly Hills, and that is the tagline for this show. The closing line is his line, "Khaki wishes and cookie dreams." Every week on this show, which doesn't come out weekly, we give tribute to Robin Leach, and he has passed away. Luckily, we have him immortalized in Shelley Long's Troop Beverly Hills. And right there, which I don't think Troop Beverly Hills was a big hit, that brought her career to a screeching halt when she followed it up with The Boyfriend School. The Boyfriend School.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Steve Guttenberg, Jamie Gertz, Kyle MacLachlan, and Shelley Long in The Boyfriend School. Ugh. And just to put the final coffin on the coffin pile, the nail in the coffin, 1992's sperm bank comedy, Shelley Long and Corbin Burnson in Frozen Assets. Frozen Assets. Nothing is funnier than sperm. And you have my word on it. Now, of course, she popped up later in the Brady Bunch movies, which she didn't headline, but she's worked here and there.
Yeah, she works, but
she screwed the pooch by leaving Cheers, is my opinion, and I will stick by it. When she left Cheers, who came in to replace her? Kirstie Alley. Kirstie Alley, you made some movies too. She made Look Who's Talking with her Cheers stardom, her and Johnny T.
Yeah, which, I mean, that was a big hit.
That was a huge hit. First of all, starts off with sperm. Sperm is funny.
I was going to say that, yes.
The opening scene is a bunch of sperm. So the Look Who's Talking franchise, which includes Look Who's Talking 2. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who the voice of the second baby was? Well, all right, so Look Who's Talking, for those of you that are not in the loop on Look Who's Talking, is Kirstie Alley and John Travolta meet cute, as they would say. And she has a baby. She already has the baby. And the baby, you can hear the baby thinking, and it's voiced by Bruce Willis. And in one part, he looks at a girl's big boobs and says, "Lunch." Oh, my God. That's comedy right there. That was so funny. It was led to Look Who's Talking 2, TOO, where they had a baby, another baby. And that baby was internally monologued by Roseanne Barr. And side note, the toilet was voiced by Mel Brooks.
Of course
it was. Did I see that in the movie theater?
Of course you did.
Did I see it twice?
Of course you did.
I did. I don't know why. Those are the things that happen. So she had the Look Who's Talking trilogy, if you will. By the way, if I ever saw all three of those on a DVD, that would be snapped up in a heartbeat. I'm sure it's out there. She did a movie called Sibling Rivalry with Bill Pullman, Carrie Fisher, Jamie Gertz, and Scott Bakula. There's some Scott Bakula films out there. I don't feel like he ever really went for the.
No.
He's in Necessary Roughness, which I love, but he kept it chill. You know, he didn't try to make the quantum leap to superstardom.
Oh, that hurt.
And then that's pretty much it for Kirstie Alley. She just bounced around doing talking baby movies. In 95, she stars with Steve Guttenberg and a certain group of twins by the name of Mary-Kate and Ashley in It Takes Two, which I will stand by my 1995 assessment that was a hilarious movie. I have a feeling if I watched it now, I'd still like it. And then, yes, so she doesn't really do movies anymore. She doesn't do much.
She has crazy Scientology stuff to
keep her busy. Is she a Scientologist?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Her and Travolta.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, he must have got her into it there on the talking over.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, of course, that's what happened. Did they have a fling? He's been married to Kelly Preston for a long time. I would assume, I would assume Scientologists don't have affairs, but I'm sure I'm 100% wrong on that.
100%.
Because them's a little bit of the old slice of creepy.
Yeah.
Hey, Diana, before we move on, let's take a look around at the bar at Cheers and see who else made some movies.
They've all made movies.
Well, everybody's been in a movie. Yes, I've been in a movie. I was in a movie with Corbin Burnson. That's true. That's an amazing factoid. Major League 2, folks, starring Ed South and Corbin Burnson. Norm.
Yeah.
George Wendt. Now, he never went big. He never had his name above the credits, but a couple years into the Cheers thing, he had a big part in Fletch and Gung Ho and House. Remember House?
Sorta.
And then he just kind of laid off. He pops up every once in a while, including the masterpiece of all-time cinema that we need to do an entire show about. You obviously would not be here for this. Spice World. He plays the producer in Spice World, and it is magical. John Ratzenberger also never really went. He played Cliff. Never really went for the big guns of movie stardom. He was in House 2, which I can only assume was, we can't get Norm? Let's get Cliff. But of course, he is actually noted as one of the highest grossing actor to appear in the highest. How do I say it? His films that he's appeared in have grossed the most amount of movie money only because he's in all 20 Pixar movies.
Right.
And he was in Superman, and he was in Empire Strikes Back. So that gives him a lot of money, although
That gives him a lot of money.
he hosts like a show on Travel Channel, so who knows. All right, here's one that we're going out of our way to touch. All right, so that's Cheers. We're going to close up Cheers. We're going to go back to 1975 in a little show called One Day at a Time. One Day at a Time. And we're only going to mention this, although I believe that show was a huge hit. It was on for 75 to 84. So that would...
And in syndication forever.
Ever. And now, of course, brought back to life by Netflix. I believe it has nothing to do with the old show. Who can forget Snyder from One Day at a Time? She played Barbara on One Day at a Time. Never really got into that show. Never watched it.
No.
Did you like the One Day at a Time?
I didn't care for it. I mean, I watched it just because it was on a lot, but...
She, in 1979, decided to go for the big screen stardom and was in a movie that is so wonderful that to look at it is like God patting you on the head and saying, "You are my most wondrous creation." We are talking about a film called Chomps, 1979 Chomps. Are you familiar with Chomps? Only from me shoving it down your throat
Right.
constantly for the last 30 years. Chomps is about a young man who makes a robot dog security system. Canine home protection system. Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
And I adored this movie to the ends of the earth when I was a kid, mostly because a dog curses in it, and that blew my head when I was a little kid. The next door neighbor dog says the S word. And it's not a movie that really anybody else could watch but me. But I have it on DVD, and I showed it to my kids, and they didn't talk to me for 3 days. But that's Valerie Bertinelli in Chomps. How about Tony Danza?
How about Tony
Do you like the Tony Danza?
I like him better now than I did when he was
when
on
he was
TV.
the boss?
Yeah. I hated that show. Hated that show.
Oh, who's the boss? But you could name all 4 characters on it, couldn't you?
Sure. I mean, I watched it, but I hated
5
that.
characters.
I hated that show.
The mom was Angela.
Right.
Her mom was Mona,
Right.
and she was horny,
Right.
as old women were,
Which was hilarious.
right?
Yeah.
She was the Blanche of the ABC network. And who else? Then Alyssa Milano was, I don't know, Sam, and the little boy was
That other kid.
Danny.
That was his real name.
Oh, whatever.
I don't remember his character.
He was unforgettable, as probably as his career. And he was forgettable, sorry. Really, they were all unforgettable. Anyway, so Tony Danza was actually, before he was on Who's the Boss, he was in Taxi. 78 to 83, Taxi ran. In 81, he headlined a motion picture called Going Ape, co-starring his Taxi co-star, Danny DeVito. So you got 2 taxis for the price of one. They said people love taxis, they would love apes. And Going Ape involves Tony Danza inadvertently inheriting a wacky ape-like creature. Diana is very strict on monkey classifications, and
Monkeys are not apes,
well, these are orangutans,
which are apes.
Okay,
Not
so they got
monkeys.
that. I believe it's the same ape from the Clint Eastwood movies. So anyway, that's Going Ape. That's like one of my favorite movie titles. I remember watching that a lot when I was a kid also. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I really need to rectify that. And so should you if you haven't seen Going Ape. And then, but that's the only movie he made then. And then when he did Who's the Boss, 84 to 92, he said, let's give it another shot. And he did, from the same production company that did Troop Beverly Hills, he made She's Out of Control. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Starring Tony Danza and Amy Dolenz. Mickey Dolenz from The Monkey's daughter. And Catherine Hicks, who was the mother on Seventh Heaven. She's made some movies. She was in one of the Star Treks, I believe.
Yeah.
Aren't they all? Everybody from Seventh Heaven was in Star Trek.
Sure.
Even the little girl. Oh, I forgot to do notes on the whole Seventh Heaven tangent with the older son made a couple movies.
We don't need that.
And Jessica.
We don't need
Is Jessica Biel really a thing?
No.
Has she done anything?
No.
She's just famous for being like hot and
Right.
famous and being married to
Justin
Timberlake. All right.
That's it.
All right. Jessica Biel. She's Out of Control, I believe, is the not pretty girl becomes pretty by taking off her glasses and putting on makeup. And then every boy in school wants to date her. And then Tony Danza goes and follows her on dates and gets really... And he's like, hey, you going to date my daughter?
Because that's not creepy at all.
What's creepy?
Following your kid around?
Well, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, she's
Sure.
out of control, for crying out loud.
Sure.
All right. Agree to disagree. Michael J. Fox making the big Back to the Future. What else did he do? Casualties of War, Money. Justine Bateman's sitting there going like, hey, where is my movie? And they give her Satisfaction, 1988, where her and Julia Roberts and Liam Neeson's drive around in a van playing music in and around Baltimore. What a film. We've talked about that film on this show before. Satisfaction. I taped it off TV once and I never watched it and it got bumped off the DVR. And am I the only one that says taped off a TV when I'm not using
No,
tape? Okay, good.
You're not.
How about Roseanne? Now you're not allowed to say her name in public, but back then she was a big star. Back before February, she was a big star, and she had her show, One Shot at a Movie, She-Devil. She-Devil. That was her first and only big screen, name above credit movie. And I don't know what to say about She-Devil.
There's really nothing to say.
What do you say about She-Devil? Meryl Streep, Ed Begley Jr. Done. That's all you need to say. Let's go to Friends. Let's wrap it up with Friends, I think, although I have a couple. But so Friends was an ensemble, or as I like to say, ensemble. And it had 6 friends. And they lived in an apartment, and they were friends. They lived in 2 apartments, actually. Girls and boys across the hall from each other.
It's good that you're taking the time to explain this.
Explain the premise of one of the biggest shows of all time
right.
to the audience.
Because people are not familiar with this show.
It's called Friends. It's about friends. So Jennifer Aniston went on to fame and fortune as a big movie star, and she's still pretty bankable, I would say.
Yeah.
She does big and little roles. But Courtney Cox was the only one, I think, that we knew going into Friends. We knew Courtney Cox from Family Ties.
Correct.
And the Bruce Springsteen video.
Right.
And I believe, was she on Misfits of Science? Isn't that a show that existed?
Loved that show.
You like the Misfits of Science? And I was looking, now she was in Ace Ventura. Right. She shot that before Friends started. Her only really shot at filmdom was the Scream series. All 98 of them. She was in the Scream films where she met her future husband, David Arquette. Thanks, Scream.
Her future ex-husband.
Is that... Yes, of course. I would say Lisa Kudrow is a stable actress who pops up in film and television all the time, but she's not one to go for the spotlight. She doesn't always have to be. You and I both recently watched a film called Table 19, where she was delightful in it.
She was.
And she was married to the even more delightful Craig Robinson, who I like him a lot.
Yeah.
That's a cute film, Table 19. I believe it's on the Amazon and the HBO.
Yes.
But her one big grab for screen stardom, fantastic film, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. Love that movie. Let's talk about Matthew Perry, who had a run, and I'll just name off these films. Fools Rush In. Ugh. He did like 9 movies that are all the same. I think they're all about threesomes, and I think we talked about that
Yes.
before. Fools Rush In, 3 to Tango with Nev Campbell, Serving Sarah with Elizabeth Hurley. He did Almost Heroes, which is a comedy about like Lewis and Clark,
Sure it is.
Yeah, with Chris Farley, and the whole 9. And then he did the whole 9 yards, and the worst sequel title ever, The Whole 10 Yards. And he did all those while Friends was on, and then we all got together and said, you know what, Matthew Perry, we'd appreciate you on the smaller screen. Please stick to that. And I'm not even sure if we appreciate you on the smaller screen. So all is good. David Schwimmer did The Pallbearer and Kissing a Fool, which I believe Matthew Perry couldn't do. So they got him instead. All these romantic 3-way comedies. And who can forget Matt LeBlanc? The whole reason I brought up Fred's, just to mention Matt LeBlanc's Tour de Force. A film named after my own heart, Ed, about, quote, a trained chimpanzee plays third base for a minor league team. Aww. That movie has a 2.6 on IMDb.
Is it that high? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I believe the monkey is completely unrealistic looking. Like you can tell it's a guy squatting in a suit.
Not a monkey.
Not a monkey. Guys, tune in for our new podcast coming soon to iTunes. Monkey or Not Monkey? Go. A giraffe, not a monkey. All right. Matt LeBlanc, Ed. Surprisingly, I've never seen Ed. I'm pretty sure when it came out, I was like, I could see that. I love it. As my friend once said, Ed, you love movies where animals are doing things they shouldn't be doing. Be it playing sports, driving cars, wearing clothes, or running for president. I'm there. A couple more real fast, and then we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Ray Romano, welcome to Mooseport. That's a thing that existed. Kirk Cameron, he tried. He tried so hard. He put his Bible down and said, let me do like Father, like Son, where he switched places with Dudley Moore. And then he did a debate team film called Listen to Me. Debate teams. Yeah, it sounds like a topic that's good for a movie. Kirk Cameron. Now he only does religious films. And he's a nut job. Not because he does religious films. He's just a nut job altogether. How about the Fred Savage from Wonder Years, 88 to 93? He did a movie called Vice Versa, where he switched bodies a year later with Judge Reinhold. Wow. Judge Reinhold looking over the cliff at aforementioned other people. Where's my Judge Reinhold? And this is the only one that I didn't think of, and I found while I was doing my research off whatever. The only one that come offhand. Christina Applegate, who is a great comedic actress and done a lot. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Oh, that's a movie that happened. So there you go, folks. TV stars who decided that they wanted to be movie stars, and then maybe we decided we don't need you to be movie stars. If you thought of someone we forgot, and I'm sure you will, but it's very specific rules of who fits the category. Try to do it, folks. Tweet us, Facebook us, whatever you want. I'm going to give you all the stuff there. Twitter at WYF Movie Podcast. Facebook, Fave Movie Podcast at yahoo.com. Let us know who we forgot, who we missed, and we'll see if you make the criteria. Dinah, thanks for joining us on the program once again.
As always, my pleasure.
It's been all of our pleasures. And until then, folks, it's khaki wishes and cookie dreams. Bye-bye.